Hey everyone, it's Lisa. Welcome back to the book club. In today's video, I want to talk about my January wrap-up, books I read in January, and what's in the pile for February. So let's get going. So the first one that I read is Indelicacy by Amina Cain. So this book was published in 2020. It's a short read, so I read this in an evening, I think, and I quite enjoyed it. It was about a woman. It's a modern book, but it was set in the Victorian period, and it's about a woman who is a cleaning lady in a museum, and she really longs for something more to life. She wants to be a writer, and she wants to write about the paintings that she's dusting instead of dusting them. So anyway, her story is, it's just a very calming novel, I'd put it that way. It's kind of a soothing read. It gives a little bit of a glimpse into her life and the things she had going on, and yeah, and sometimes drastic measures are needed when you're living the life you think you wanted, but it turns out maybe you didn't. So anyway, this was Indelicacy. It was really good. I liked it. Next up is Ghost in the House by Sara O'Leary. So again, this was a fairly short read. I really enjoyed it. This is a novel about a woman who wakes up one morning and realizes that she is a ghost in her house, and her husband is living there with his new wife. So and the story kind of goes from there. But these little books, it's, you know, I struggle to say too much about them because I don't want to, it's really easy to give away what's going on because they're such short reads. But yeah, so that's basically what happens. Is just her experience of being a ghost, her husband being in their house with his new wife, and the interactions that the characters have with in some cases with each other. So yeah, that was The Ghost in the House. I really liked it. All right, next up was a good one. I read Bunny by Mona Awad. I loved Bunny. It is worth the hype if you've heard about this book. So it's about the cliquey nature of relationships. And so it's about this group of girls, and they're really strange and weird, and they call each other Bunny. And, you know, there's an axe. And the animal bunny actually appears in the story too, and I really like that. I thought that was really cool that the actual bunny, like the women call each other Bunny, but the animal itself is in the book as part of the story, and it's pretty cool. I really liked it. So I gave this 5 stars. This was a really fun read. It was engaging, kept me turning the pages, and I really enjoyed it. The next book I read in January was a memoir nonfiction, a self-help nonfiction. It's a Korean book. It's translated. It's called I Want to Die, But I Want to Eat Tteokbokki by Baek, Sehee. And I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing that correctly. This was a really interesting book, and it's actually transcriptions of her therapy sessions that she had, and how she's dealing with anxiety and depression, and she's just overthinks a lot of things, and she's just wrestling with changes that she's dealing with in her life, and you know, the depression that she has, and but hey, she also wants to eat her favorite takeout food. So I mean, I loved her. I thought it was great. I really enjoyed this book, and I think you might too. All right, and the last book I read in January was How to Think by a Woman by Regan Penaluna. So this was fascinating. So this is a nonfiction memoir again, but a woman who has her PhD in philosophy, and she was quite disheartened about how women were being treated in the field of philosophy. And so she did a deep dive. The subtitle is 4 Women Philosophers Who Taught Me How to Love the Life of the Mind. And I talked about this in another video as well, but again, if you didn't see that one, it's she explored 4 historical figures and women in the philosophy field, and really just talks about the misogyny in philosophy, why there's, you know, why women are being left out of the philosophy canyon, and it's so good. It was so good. Like, this is a bit of a longer read. I'd say it was a little over 300 pages? Not quite, 250 or so. I think I read this in like in a day and a half. I just couldn't put it down. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the author and the way she explained things, and just dripping with sarcasm. I mean, it's so good. I highly recommend this book. Even if you're not into reading philosophy, I am, but even if you're not, you know, it was really, really interesting perspective about just women being in not traditional women's roles, especially when she explored women, you know, through the different centuries. So yeah, so that was How to Think Like a Woman. Very good. All right, the next pile of books is what's in the pile for February. Now, I'm not so delusional to think that I'm going to get through all these books in February, because there's no way. But because I'm a mood reader, so you know, I've started all of these books. I've already read a significant chunk of, or maybe just the first chapter or whatever, but or I'm halfway through in some cases. So I like having a variety of books on the go in different genres. So that really helps me actually get more read. So yeah, so I'm going to just go through them. Here we go. So the first one on the pile is Napoleon the Great by Andrew Roberts. So I did a whole weekend vlog of reading the first part of this book. So this is historical nonfiction about Napoleon, and it's you know, I keep saying this, it's a dense read. It is a dense read. It does take me a while to go through each chapter. The chapters themselves aren't very long, but there's a lot of context and a lot of information and French phrases and European history that I'm not familiar with. So it does take me a little while to get up to speed on that, but you know, I'm really enjoying this. I think Napoleon as a historical figure is fascinating. You know, I really, really like this book. And this book actually, I believe, casts him in more of a favorable light than maybe some other books written by him. There's been so much written on him. But, you know, and I've said this before in my vlog, that I'm reading this because I want to get to know Napoleon as the man, right? And not just, you know, a military genius, which he was, or a tyrant, which people think he may or may not be. So, and you know, I'm not here to debate all that stuff. I just want to get to know who Napoleon was as a man, and I'm really enjoying this book. It's a good one. All right, the next one on the list is called Tipping the Velvet by Sara Waters. Now, I haven't read Sara Waters before, and I'm actually going to do a buddy read with Britta Bowler from the second shelf. It's my first buddy read. I'm so excited to read this with her. I'll link her channel below in case you want to go check her out. She's amazing. She's great book recommendations and book reviews. I've been watching Britta for a long time. She is fantastic. So her and I are going to read Tipping the Velvet. So this is a historical fiction book about women and the relationships between women, and love, and just, you know, I guess finding true love and friendship in unexpected places and times. So I'm really looking forward to getting into this. I've only read the first chapter. I've heard of Sara Roberts before. I think she's got another really popular book out, and I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. The Paying Guests, I think. And I've picked that one up and put it down, and I've picked that one up and put it down, and I haven't read it. So this will be my first Sara Waters book, so I'm really excited to get to this. It looks like it's gonna be a lot of juicy fun. Next up is All's Well, actually, and I've also briefly talked about this. So this is a this is fiction. It's comedy, and it's about a woman who may or may not be a little bit unhinged, trying to just deal with an unexpected end to her relationship. So I'm really looking forward to this. This is by Monica Heisey. She's a Canadian who, I think she lives in London now, is what the back says. And this is her first novel, so debut novel. I'm so looking forward to getting into this. And so this is a nice little mix in between all the more heavier books that I have in this stack of fiction, non-fiction, so this will help break things up in case I need something a little bit lighter and something fun to read. So that's all's well, actually. All right, this one too is a fiction, The Bee Sting by Paul Murray. I'm about a quarter of a way through this book. It is a bit bigger of a read, but it's going really well. It's a nice read. Basically, if you think your dysfunctional family makes you groan, then you need to read this book, because man, these people ain't got nothing on any of us. This is so good. So it's about a family in peril. You know, the family business is going underwater. The mother is a bit crazy and it just meddling and flies off the handle at any little thing. The teenage daughter is struggling to even finish school at this point because she's just out drinking and with all her friends. And the son, the youngest, he just wants to run away from all of them. And he's communicating with a friend on the internet, and he wants to go, you know, live with this other kid in the country. I think Paul Murray is I think he's an Irish writer. Yeah, so this is set in Ireland, so I love reading about his take on you know, just the setting of Ireland, and it's really good. I'm really enjoying The Bee Sting. I do want to get through this in February, finish this in February, because again, good dysfunctional family. I'm here for it. Okay, so the next two books are I've pulled from my 24 books that I already own that I want to read in 2024. So my strategy with getting through my 24 books that I own is I need to read 2 of them a month in order to meet that goal. So I sat down last night and went through my list that I made of all the 24 books that I have, and pulled the 2 that I thought I could get through. The first one is When Women Ruled the World. So this is a nonfiction book put out by National Geographic by Cooney, and it's about the 6 Egyptian pharaoh queens that ruled Egypt throughout the different dynasties, and it's so interesting. So I picked this one because I am about halfway through this book. I think I'm into Nefertiti's chapter right now, and that's who's on the cover, her famous bust. But it's so interesting, and it really talks about how women came to rule back then. Some of them just were queens waiting for their younger male children to take the thrones, but some of them were queens in their own right and didn't come up through that way. So it's also really interesting to learn about how some of these women were preserved in the histories and the hieroglyphics more than others, and why. So like some of the queens we don't know very much about, whereas others like Nefertiti and Cleopatra we know a lot more about. So it's just really a really interesting read. I'm really enjoying this, and I do want to finish this one in February as well. So my other read that I picked to finish in for 2024 was Eve, How the Female Body Drove 200 Million Years of Female Evolution. And I talked quite a bit about this before in my 2024 video, but I did reread the introduction and started reading chapter 1, and it's so good. And it's by Cat Bohannon. So Cat Bohannon is really taking a scientific look at just how the female body is just so much different in an evolutionary sense than our male counterparts. And she spends a really good part of the introduction talking about why females are left out of clinical studies for medicine and research purposes, and she gets into what's called the male norm, and just quite interesting. And then all the chapters, so there's 9 main chapters, and then each chapter is going to get into a relatable topic, going back through the evolutionary tree. So the first chapter is on milk and how female mammals evolved to provide for milk, which then led to the development of the fatty breast and everything like that. And then the womb and how female mammals evolved to, you know, hatch our offspring and deliver them, you know, live instead of, you know, through other means, like. And then just anyway, so it's really interesting, and she's going to talk about things like you know, why do women experience menopause? Why did women evolve to experience menopause? Why are women more likely to get Alzheimer's, and questions like that. So this is a really interesting read. It is a bit of a bigger book, but a big chunk of the last part of it, like I'd say over 100 pages, is like notes, the bibliography and the index. So so the book itself is not quite as long, but it still can be quite dense material to get through, but it's so good. I'm enjoying it. And she's a great author. She's a great author. She's a great storyteller. Okay, last up is we need to talk about the elephant in the room. Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. So I'm reading Pride and Prejudice for my friend's book club that we're doing, because we're gonna go see Pride and Prejudice, a play in her community later this March, spring? I guess it depends where you are. So we're reading Pride and Prejudice, and I'm behind, you guys. I'm behind. I'm a little bit bored with it. There, I said it. I said it. Don't come for me. I'm a little bit bored with it. I kind of put it down, and it's not a full DNF. Like, I'm still gonna go see the play whether I finish it or not. But I missed the last Zoom chat because I wasn't feeling good, and then last week I missed it again because I was so far behind. And it's not that I'm worried about being spoiled or anything, but you know, I still to this day don't know how it ends. So I guess there's that. But I don't know. I'm not in this. And let's talk about this book. First of all, the book itself is beautiful. This is a bind up of all of Jane Austen's completed novels, and I adore it, and I'm happy and fortunate to have it. However, that being said, the font is so tiny. It's so tiny. And even with my bionic glasses on, like, these glasses are legit. Like, I need them. I still need to sit with my, I have a ring light for reading that has a magnifying glass. I think like cross stitchers use them, but it is so good for reading, especially stuff like this. But it's actually a physical chore to read. So that's part of why I haven't been picking it up as well. It's just because the physical copy I have itself is difficult to read. Now, that being said, I could go to the library and sign on a copy of Pride and Prejudice. I can certainly do that. Or, you know, I'm not good at reading ebooks. I don't take pleasure in reading ebooks very well. So, but that's another option. I could download probably a free copy of the book and read it that way if I really wanted to. But I haven't been compelled to do either of those things. So it's not a DNF for now. We'll see what happens. I'll just go and leave it at that. Okay, so that's it. That's what I've got for the pile, what I read in January, and what's kind of lined up for February. I'm really excited about the buddy read with Britta. Like I said, I'll link her channel below in the doobly-doo. And then, yeah, I'm excited about all the other stuff I got lined up, notwithstanding how I'm feeling about Jane Austen right now, but that's okay. I'll sort it out. I'll get it sorted out. So that's it. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys are having a great day, evening, or morning, wherever you may be. And I'll see you in the next video. Okay? Okay, bye, bye, bye.